episode number 8 of the Build My Church podcast. We're back after a little lengthy hiatus, right? Uh, we did one in November with Chris Crawley over the homeless month. That's how far it's been, Luke, since we've been on here. How you doing?
I miss seeing your face, man. Your nice bearded face. I miss it, you know?
This
I'm
is
doing good
one.
though.
I appreciate it, man. I know you do. Listen, I get
Yeah.
I get people all the time saying, where you at?" It's confession time, so you need to repent
Right.
for that comment right now. But I
Oh
miss
well,
seeing
yeah.
yours too, man. Your hat and your
Yeah.
beard and
Yeah, thanks,
all
man.
that. What's that? Is that your company logo on your shirt right there?
Yeah, it is. It's the Curb Masters Concrete Cutting. It's my father-in-law's company. I work with him, as you know. But just got off of work a little bit ago and pulled in here and as you're wearing your work clothes also. So I
Which
see
is
there too.
Yeah, great segue into our topic today on
Yeah,
time management in ministry.
that's
Luke
right.
and I are so faithful into our time that we didn't even change clothes for this gig
Didn't
tonight.
even
We
do it.
just jumped down in front of our stuff and got rolling here. Yeah, is
Yeah.
that a Kurt Masters hat too?
It sure is concrete covered and all. Covered in concrete and everything, man.
Man, I'll tell you
You hit
what.
me and I'm like Pigpen on Peanuts. I poop with dust, you know? It's like,
There he
I
comes.
love it.
Look, it's Luke. There
Yes,
he comes.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can't miss me.
Oh no, you sure can't with that. That's good.
Yeah.
And even your background back there looks kind of like a concrete kind of color.
Yes, exactly.
Cheyenne's got you in the corner back in there. Yeah.
She does, man. She does.
Well, the
Absolutely.
last time we had you, you were on here. This is your podcast too. Pardon my cat back there in the back. Me and you and young Thomas were on talking about the state of the church and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
How's life been for you in these last 3 or 4 months?
Well, it's been good. It's been busy, as always. There we go about time management again.
Sure.
Um, but just we navigated the whole Christmas rush and all that, um, and just trying to. And you know how you kind of always it seems like you kind of go through a in the middle, the meat of winter, everything kind of like slumps sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and kind of navigating that and how best to manage that and keep people motivated, and in their relationship with God. And we all have those uh, seasonal depression syndrome stuff going, but
Oh, preach
where
it,
the light
brother.
doesn't
Yeah.
shine, the sunlight doesn't shine for 3 months, but hey,
Yeah.
daylight savings time happened or whatever. I forget which one we're in right now, but we're getting more daylight. Is all I know. So, but we're just staying busy, and trying to keep people shepherding them, leading them, and doing that for ourselves too. But how about you, man? How's things been going for you? What you been into?
Not bad. Basketball came and went for us. Coaching the varsity girls at Cadillac
Awesome.
Heritage Christian School. 15-5, best season ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. There we go, Reagan.
Oh man, yeah. Reagan had the ball, and we had just a fantastic group of young ladies this year,
That's
as
awesome.
we always do. But this was just a special year. Did that. Working on school stuff, getting a little bit more involved, even in our church, where we
Right.
go and preaching a little bit more and some different stuff like that. And then I'll have my degree in May, so that'll be
Awesome.
done and over. I got one
That's
more
awesome.
class to go. So yeah, and grandbaby turned 1 in January.
Oh,
Uh,
man,
it's one
it's
thing.
incredible.
We're blessed. We're just blessed. Cheryl's working hard at the school, and the kids are all doing great. Reagan's deciding on college, and one thing I've learned though, in the middle of all that and all this time, first of all, they say time flies the older you get. Well, I must be decrepit because I don't. Dude, do you know where this year is going?
Dude, I can't even start on that, man.
I
I'm
know.
like, I still thought we were in 2022, and here we're a third of the way to 2024. I'm like, or a fourth of the way. I'm like, what?
I
What is
hear you.
happening?
I hear you.
You know,
It's like, what in the world, man? It's
I
already
know, I
we
know. A
we just
quarter of the way through.
yeah,
Think about that.
yeah.
You
That's
know?
ridiculous. Ridiculous. Absolutely
Yes,
ridiculous. And we've
yes.
already changed the clock back ahead. I'm
Oh,
just
I
thinking
know.
we turned it back. The other one, now we're ahead. We had our tree up Valentine's Day. Finally got it down.
Right. I hear you, man. I
And
hear
we're
you.
talking about time management here, but I
I
didn't
know.
have time. But you
Maybe
know
we
what I
need to
mean?
get some other people on here. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you struggle with when to take your tree down? I do too. So we just leave it up. Uh,
Absolutely, that's the best way to do
if it
it.
wasn't a live tree, we just let it stay up there, but those needles get in the way after a while.
Right?
I'm like the dude that leaves his lights up outside year round. Hey, you ain't gotta worry
Why
about
not?
taking it down. Just
Why not? Yeah.
yeah, they can't tell when it's daylight anyway. So what's the big
No,
deal? Yeah, I don't know
no.
time, and don't you think that's part of when you were a kid though? This time of
Oh,
year, drug.
dude, a year felt like 5 years. It really did.
Oh yeah.
I remember a school year when you would start the school year and you would think about how long till summer vacation. It would be like, this is going to be the worst time of my life because it'd be like purgatory. You know what I mean? I know I'm stepping into different theological realms here that we don't believe in, but but still, it's what it felt like. That's why I thought maybe purgatory does exist. I don't know. I might be in it.
That was
You
enough
know,
reason to believe it because it felt
I
like it.
know.
I'm with you.
I
I'm
know.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the adult life, I have not come close to feeling that
No, no,
whatsoever.
exactly. That's it. You
No,
know,
purgatory.
it's
That's the title. Purgatory might be real. No offense to any of our other friends out there. Yeah, for
right.
sure. But like this month, February was always the black hole. I don't know where it went
Yes,
this year. It's.
yes. I know what you mean. The
Yeah.
shortest month was always the longest month, but now it flew. I don't know.
Well,
I
you
don't
know
know.
why? Because it's leap year. We had one more day. That's why it felt.
That's
It
why it
went.
went weird. Yeah.
It
Right.
felt odd
Exactly.
in there a little bit, which is why Easter's the last day of March, which is good because it kept it from being April Fool's Day, and we do not need to
I
have Easter on that day.
No, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But yeah, that goes into the whole time management thing. I don't know about you, Brian, but like the days, it's not even only like a big period of time, like a whole month or a whole year just flying. It's my days are flying by. Like I look up at the clock after I'm like, okay, things are going good today. I can get some things done. And by the time I've got my one thing done, but I still got five other things to do, it's 8:30 p.m. And I'm getting older now. I can feel that. I was talking to Connor about that earlier, and I can't stay up past 10 anymore. So so I'm like I'm like my day's gone, and I have a list of 8 things to do, and I did one of them, and they're not things that I would like to do. They're things that I have to do. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You know.
yeah. This is
So
not
it's
the I
like
might get done. This is do it or die. Yeah,
exactly, and we're talking about things and with work. I mean, we both work fairly long hours into the evenings,
right.
and ministry and family, and it's like it can be hard to keep it straight sometimes. I feel like my head. Well, sometimes we can feel like our heads are just spinning. I don't know how you feel about that, but
No, you're preaching it, man. Because and this is all the more people you talk to, it's not even like well maybe it's just me. You just confirmed it. I just lived what you said. And if I talk to 10 people today, they all had the same thought. So what is it?
absolutely
Is time? There's always been 24 hours in the day in our our span. I don't know how it was in Bible time, but
right, right,
and you know what I mean. And 365 days in the year, and
yeah,
everybody worked and went to church and ate and raised their kids and went to their kids' stuff and it just
right,
doesn't seem like they were this frantic. And as we dive into
right.
this, what advantages do we have over them?
Well, I think the advantage is that we can get things done faster
Yeah.
with just our technology. But I actually think that's turned into our disadvantage because we think we can get things done faster. I take on more. I don't
Oh,
I don't partial my. I'm not like, oh, I can be more efficient so I can spend my time better elsewhere. We just tend to take. I think especially in the ministry too. I think we have the personality of I need to do more. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I think which is not a bad thing in
yeah.
general. I mean, you want to be useful for God or try to feel like you're being useful for God. But I think our advantage sometimes I've always even with us personally, our personal lives, sometimes our best advantage becomes our greatest disadvantage or
Yeah.
our biggest strength becomes our biggest weakness because we can overcompensate too much. So I think our what we got going for us on doing things quicker and because of technology and things like that also hurts us because we just try to take on more and we just overwhelm ourselves.
I think that is profound and that's beautiful because you stop and think, you're 6 hours away from me right now. Here we are talking, looking at each other. We're
Right.
connected. I could do this to somebody anywhere that has
Yeah.
Zoom on in an apparatus. We're connected more. We do more, whatever, and yet we feel like we get less done because
Yeah.
we pack more in. That's exactly right. I
Yeah.
never thought of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why? So okay, in your day's time, there's like, let's say there's 10 things that have to get done, whatever that's
Mhm.
going to be. You know, there's
Right.
a chunk in there that's work. Got to work. If you don't
Mhm.
work, you don't
Right.
eat. Whatever you're going to do
Right.
for your job. You can't just say, unless you're this way. I don't know how you and Brian operate. All right, it's 5. We're done. Sometimes you can't
No.
do that.
No. No.
And so when that
Usually,
5 becomes 8, you bled 3 hours into something else, right?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then okay, old man Luke here going to bed at 10 o'clock. I can't. How old are you?
I'm 31 and I can barely stay up. It's terrible. It's terrible.
31.
In my
31.
defense, I'm getting up early though too.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll give you
Right.
that. I'll give you that.
Right.
Your
Right.
old uncle over here. I don't see. I mean, I'm midnight at least, sometimes 1
Yeah.
before I go to bed.
Yeah.
But now I'm not getting up at 4 in the morning either. So, but I'm at work by 8 or 9, 9 at the
Right.
latest. But
Right.
so in that period of time, I get more done in the evening later, whether that's my
Right.
reading or other
Right.
prep or even this stuff or whatever. What's
Right.
when you have your goal and you have your set to get up in the morning and you get into that, your time with Shy is important. You got to have,
Right.
more than 10 minutes with your wife and doing those
Right.
things. How do you say no? Do you say no?
Well, I've learned that's my biggest struggle personally is to say no. And I think again, I think if you're doing ministry correct, you're a servant. You're serving, you know,
Yeah,
and that can also make it hard to say no because you don't want to say no. But I think the older I've gotten, I think I'm a lot like you and Dad. I've seen you and Dad my
your
whole life.
dad
You
as well.
guys
Yep.
don't say no, or I think you've had to learn that. That's not part of your personality to say no to somebody.
Yeah.
Um, I think I have a little bit of that there too. But I've learned to just know what my limitations are. And I've learned that the hard way because I've taken on too much stuff too many times. Um,
Sure.
one as an example of that, one recent example in our church, we're still growing. Thank God. It's only because of God working in people's lives. I'm so thankful for that. And we're at a point where we've had to start really 2 new classes for juniors.
Okay.
And because it's just slowly expanding. And I was kind of taken because I was, the youth leader there, and I feel like I need to lead, obviously as I should. And I was trying to take point on that and the teens and be involved in the music ministry, playing the piano and doing that, doing my part and making sure other areas of the ministry or the church is progressing. So I was trying to move forward with 5 different things at one time. And because I was trying to move forward with 5 different things at once, I wasn't moving forward with anything because
Gotcha.
you just can't.
Yeah.
I would work on this, but while I was working on this one thing, these 4 things weren't getting done. So I'd feel guilty about those 4 things. So I'd stop working on this to jump on that. And then those 4 things weren't getting done. You see the point. But
Yeah.
thankfully, what I learned, and I've sat here, Brian, and I ran my mouth about our job is to be facilitators for other people's ministries. Well, guess what? I wasn't doing, you know, and I have. There's a wonderful couple at our church. I've talked about them to you before, Jesse and Jess
Yeah.
Tomlin, and awesome God-given people. They've been such great helps. They've been rocks for me and Shy, and they are literally so talented and so gifted at the ministry, especially the juniors and the team. But they have a gift they both have a gift for organization,
Oh
for
boy.
planning, for class planning and like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, Shy, I got to do something. We got to do something. She's like, well, it's right in front of your face. She's like, just talk to Jess and Jesse about taking it over.
Yeah.
And I said one word to them, and they jumped in with both feet. And within literally a couple of days, they had the entire thing mapped out exactly how I wanted it to be done. if I could have taken my thoughts out and showed it to them, they gave me what I wanted, you know?
Oh
And
man.
and
Yeah.
so that to say it's not even necessarily I've learned it's not even necessarily saying it because you can't say no. That's something you can't say no to. These
Yeah.
kids need they desperately need to be taught
Yeah.
the about God, you know, about
Yeah.
Christ, because we're growing in that. Can't say no to that. But what it is what can I do that doesn't get me out of the way? I don't have to do it all. Let's
Mhm.
facilitate and bring other people in and delegate and help them get into their ministry. So even that was kind of a no, but not a no, you know, and I've learned, okay, there might be a way to do this to where stuff that's necessary isn't getting neglected, but it can be done a better way. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense or not.
Complete sense. And the part I love is that it ended up being, I think part of our problem is, well, I don't know if it's going to get done right without, for lack of a better word. And it's not
Yeah,
that it has to be you that does it to get it done right,
right.
but God puts you in that position of leadership. And so you're thinking, okay, here's kind of how I feel. And for it to work out teetotally how you had it,
Oh, yes,
who but God,
yes.
right?
Who
And
but God? Exactly,
those
exactly.
precious people that are in line with you right there, you're like,
Exactly,
here we go, you know. And
exactly.
that's where it's not so much no, but it's let go. Hey,
Let go.
Rhymes. How about that?
Exactly.
You
Yeah, there
know,
you go.
it just comes to me like that sometimes.
There's a
No,
t-shirt. There's a
it's been,
t-shirt.
let's call them right there. T-shirts are us.
Oh,
Let's get it going. But you know what
right.
I mean? And I
You're
love that you
right.
said that because
Yeah.
now it's God saying, I have these people around you. And thank God for godly wives that are like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
do I have to tell you how this is or are you gonna figure this
Right.
out?
Exactly.
Trust
Exactly.
me. Yeah.
100%. And that's what that's because so many things when it comes to ministry, things like that, like, how could you say no?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's almost like figuring out a way where you don't have to be the one like at on point. You don't have
Right.
to, but helping people. Now my job is to help support them. I don't have to be on point, but I still got to support them, be
Hmm.
there to help
Yeah.
them out and those things. But now when we do this as a team, oh, this burden just got a lot lighter. It just
Yeah.
got a lot easier to carry. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To go about with. But I don't know
And
about you, but that's what lesson I've learned.
oh man, you're that's beautiful right there. That's top of the line lesson because now we're in the boat. The old saying, we're all in the same boat. You're rowing
Yeah.
by yourself or you got three other people to help row. This thing's going to go a lot better. And I'm not going to get
Oh,
so tired.
yes.
You know,
Right.
I can't blame
Right.
a lot of things on tiredness, but I can blame a lot of things on not understanding. I hate the word the big picture, but that's the only thing I can think of right now. The whole frame of
Yes.
everything. You know.
Yes. You're exactly right by that. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And so when you're trying to say, okay, these kids need leaders. These kids are
Yep.
we're teaching tomorrow today, and they are here
Yep.
today.
Yeah.
So how are we going to do this? Well, if you're doing it all and coming in there, you're going to be wiped out. Now you're
Right.
going to get
Yeah.
energized by them because the young people are the ones that get you jacked up just by talking to
Yeah.
them.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, when you got people in there that you can trust, now you're like,
Right.
hey, you know what? I should probably do this more often, and maybe
Exactly.
good things will happen. You know.
Well, and it does. And I think that, and again, going back to what we talked about, I think that's more of what our job is to facilitate others in their ministry, help them grow in their ministries. But it, it all comes down to, yes, I can get in that one moment on a Sunday, I can get energized and I'm ready to go. But when I'm not able to prepare for all of it like I should on a Tuesday evening, because like you said, hey, we got off at work at 6 and the toilet's not flushing. You know what I mean?
Oh, it never
You know,
does. Yeah.
it
Right.
never knows,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Oh
That's
yeah.
real thing. We're not, which even full-time ministers, they have a time management issue as well. They have the same struggle. It's wrapped up in a different kind of package, but it's the same things, it's the same issues. But as we're working too, it's just like you said, it's just there's constraints and they're pulling. There's a lot of things that you feel that are pulling you every different way, and it's
Yeah.
yeah. I've learned that I have to organize my life. You know what I found too, Brian, about you, if we're being honest. one of the things that if I let it overwhelm me, which when we think about this makes zero sense, one of the first things that we're quick to sacrifice is our time with God.
Oh,
Um,
amen.
because I did everything that I was supposed to do in the ministry and serving and trying to do that, trying to be there. And then you get your responsibilities for work and then your responsibilities with family, and then you lay down and go to bed because you're wiped out and you barely you prayed over your meal and that was about it that day.
Oh
And you
man.
were doing the work of the Lord.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
I'm
know,
calling myself a Christian, and I've
yeah,
always visualized it. Man, you hit it right on the head. That God's. Let's just say he's in the car. He's been
yeah,
sitting in the
yeah,
car, and I left him out there, and I went to bed, and I showered,
yeah,
and I ate, and I patted my kids on the head, and whatever, and did my thing, and talked to
yeah,
my wife.
yeah,
And I'm laying there, and he's still sitting there waiting for me to open the door and let
yeah,
him out. Like
yeah.
the King of Kings, the Almighty,
Exactly,
my
exactly,
Redeemer. I didn't, and I'm
exactly.
telling other people I'm busy for God. He's not even out of the
Right.
car. What are you talking
I
about?
know, I
Yeah,
know.
you're
And
right,
and
man.
nothing you did the entire day was wrong. None of it
No,
was bad. All of it was good. Could be very
yeah,
good. But
yeah,
that's just one I've realized that's one of the quickest things that we sacrifice.
oh yeah,
And that starts a chain reaction that cannot be sustained.
oh,
Because then we burn out, we get discouraged. We're not Pastor Mark's he's really hit prayer home a lot for ever since we've been at Akron there. And he was like, he's like doing things, even as for the work of the Lord, without prayer and without prayer, he's like, without that time with God, is like trying to blow leaves against the wind. Good luck.
yeah, no,
He's like, now when the wind's backing you up,
yeah.
when it's going with you, man, you can blow it into the neighbor's yard, three houses down, easy.
Let them deal with them.
Just
Yeah,
let it
there you
go.
go.
It's
Yeah,
easy
that's
then.
right.
He's
That's
like,
right.
but that's just one of the we're so quick to sacrifice that, and it's so, and I understand it. But when
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's one of the really the last two things we should ever sacrifice. Really, is our time with God and our time with our family,
Amen.
and
Amen.
those two are the quickest things that we drop. Not on
And
purpose, but
no,
it's easy to
we,
do.
we do that because there's nobody's keeping a time clock on it, or
Exactly.
God
Exactly.
forbid, it's not going to show up in 2 weeks in my paycheck if I don't. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's
Exactly.
so results based. But I'll
It's
feel it.
exactly.
I'll feel it because my heart's getting. My attitude's kind of been terrible the last couple of days. Or
Yes.
how come Why am I feeling so down and depressed? Or
Yes.
how come this is getting to me? Or how come I? Oh, wait a minute. God's over there. I'm in the car, pal. Let me out.
Right.
Or
Right.
your family. Your family. They understand it. Dad's working. Dad's
Right.
doing this, whatever. But
Right. Right.
how many, let's say, successful people, even in ministry at times, God forbid, lose their family because they're like,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I heard a guy say this. One of our generals said, they don't care where you're at. They just know you're not home.
Yes.
You can say, oh, I've been to the hospital to see 12 people.
Yep.
I did this. I've been studying the word. I've been doing all, blah, blah. And he was very blunt, but he said, you might as well be at a bar or
Yeah.
somebody else's house, cheating on your
Well,
wife because all
I
they know is
mean,
you're not home.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's funny you said that there was a ministers conference that our conference kind of put together, our ordination committee kind of put it together. So it's Dad, Pastor Mark, and Brother Eugene, and
Mm,
they kind of split it up into three different sections. And the first thing they hit on Dad, his whole entire message was about the home.
yeah.
How like we have got to pour ourselves into our family, and it's like you said, it's so easy. They just got to know you're there. I can think, and I know Hunter and Reagan can say the same thing about you, but like the best thing I can say about my dad personally, and I know and with you, crazy life. Pastor's life is a crazy life. You're running like your pants are on fire constantly. You
Yeah.
just are.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know that, but you are.
Yeah.
But I always saw him as my dad and never my pastor.
Amen.
That's awesome.
Amen.
And I know
It,
they would feel the same. I know they feel the same way about you. And if you can do that, then you got that. You did something with that balance right. You know,
oh, no doubt, 100%.
you
And your
know.
dad, if there's anybody that's a world class dad, it's yours. He's always been there no matter what. Done. You know,
He's
both
been
your parents.
great.
You got the best
Yeah.
parents in the world. And I think you're gonna, you guys are all doing it. You're gonna do that with your own families. You'll do that ministry for your family. And it's not. You'll find out. Okay, maybe there's times when it's a little bit tough, but if it's going
Oh
to
yeah.
come down to for me to decide, even in the church, uh, go do this, or if my family's in need, well, it's my family. They're the ones
Yeah.
that are with me all the time. And you find out some of these pictures we paint of situations sound so dire that the times you have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, or the people you stay with all night at the hospital, those happen, but they don't
Yes.
happen 4 times a week.
No, you are so right. You're
You
so
know,
right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
they happen, and we should be there. And
Yep.
my family knows. Yeah, that's when I was full time pastor, and when I will again at some point. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like it doesn't. Again, it doesn't matter. But if it's my kid's birthday and we're having a party, unless there's a death or an emergency, don't get
Right.
me wrong. Now there are
Right.
times,
There
but
are
those
times. Yeah.
few and far between, because
Yeah.
God knows where your heart is at, and this is where I'm going to be at. I
Oh
used to
yeah.
joke to tell Reagan, "Hey, I'm coaching your team so I don't have to miss your games." And she's like,
Right. Right.
"It's not that I think I'm great, but
No,
um,
I love it. I love
yeah."
it.
Which a great
And it,
quote happened to me the other day coaching. Sorry, cut you off. We won a home game. We gritted out a tough one, and a friend of mine,
yeah.
a pastor friend of mine, walked over to me, goes, "Hey, your girls are playing pretty good despite the male coach over there." Because Cheryl and I both do it. I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, she's the real coach. I'm just the eye candy." And he starts laughing. He goes, "Son, that candy melted a long time ago." Yeah. Anyway,
That's perfect. Oh
ouch,
my
that
God.
hurt, but it's true. You
That's
got to
awesome.
face the fact.
Right.
Go ahead. I cut you off.
Right. No, and what limited, and I know I'm young, but what limited experience I've seen it with you, I've seen it with that, I've seen it with other ministers and other people who are just involved like this. So this is not just a minister's thing. Like you said, it's everybody, really. It
Right.
really is everybody.
Right.
But I've shown if you're trying to do all of that, if you show your family that kind of love and and they know that you care about them above really other than God, everything else.
Yeah.
Those times that you do have to sacrifice a little bit of that time with them, they completely understand.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. They know where you're coming from, and sometimes they go do it with you because they're that's a great way for them to be involved in, but it all starts with that foundation of love and time. It
Your
just it
dad,
just does
your dad ever take you on a hospital visit or a house visit, or
all the
something
time.
like that? Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say, and we were living in some fairy tale land where I always wanted to go. No, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I see
Yeah.
the benefit of that now. I see it like I never regretted it
Yeah.
later on, or even, but I have noticed that if you make that a foundation, then that becomes less of an issue when those sacrifices do have to come,
Well, you're
you
hitting
know.
on the key there, because we're talking about how to make it all work out.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is dad. This way, that's more than just what we see on Sunday or
Right.
Wednesday. So now here we go do the and your kids know that. You guys knew that
Yes.
dad is dad 7 days a week. Any time, and your dad has always still is. Even in his ripe old age that he's at, he just turned back in
Yeah.
January. Is he 60
Right.
now?
He's 60. Man.
Woo!
Jeez.
60,
Yeah.
man.
I don't know how he gets out of bed anymore.
I don't think he
Golly.
probably doesn't. He probably just has to roll out, and try to catch himself. But 60,
Right.
shoot.
Right.
Um, he he's always done it full bore. There's
Yeah.
no hat. Even when he started out, when you guys first moved there,
Yeah.
he had to work a little while before it became full time.
Right.
There's no part time. It's bivocational. We
No.
work.
Oh
I
no.
work. There's two things that we do, and he would
Yes.
give it. That's why it's where it's at, because he gave it to us his whole heart. But at the same time, it wasn't at the expense of his family. You
Right.
guys were always
Right.
there. You knew what he did.
Yeah.
I remember taking
Right.
Reagan with me once to Traverse City. She was still kind of young. They
Yeah.
were when we moved here to Michigan, to the
Yeah.
hospital, and I was going to have to go see a guy, and we're going to take the elevator, and she's dead, and I didn't even think about it. It's Traverse City, it's 45 minutes away. Deathly, absolutely nails on the wall, afraid of the elevators. And I stood there for a minute. I'm like, okay, we're going to take the stairs. Well, there were no stairs. I don't know why. They build them different around here. and I had to get back in
Yeah,
the car and go back. She wouldn't go. She was freaking out with
that is
that.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
for a
god.
moment, I was kind of a little bit frustrated because I'm like, well, and I may have said out loud, he's not going to think I love him or whatever. And Reagan, it
Yeah,
hurt her for that, and she's like, Daddy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I go, Daddy's sorry. You don't need to be sorry.
yeah.
You're scared. All you know is I ain't getting on that stupid
I'm
elevator
not getting on
because
the elevator. Right,
and I wasn't going to be in the hospital with her screaming her lungs out like that.
right,
But
right, right.
we always laugh about that, but it was like, but she was there and she tried, and she actually took that and kind of jumped out of it from there and tried to be better at it from that moment.
Yeah,
But
right,
I
right.
could have done better too. But at the same time, it's good to have them with you, all the time,
Oh yeah,
whatever that's going to be, because it's like this is our family's involved in this, not just dad.
exactly.
You know,
And I think that's the key too. When we make it, this is what we do instead of this is what I do, because that's a big difference.
amen.
And if there's a foundation of love and care, it's not like a dictator. You're going to do this, which sometimes, I mean, like I said, I didn't always want to do it,
Yeah,
but if there's a foundation of love and care there, and we establish what we do,
yeah,
that goes a long way. Goes a long way. And I know that we're talking about all this. I get very like practical. I want practical advice. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, give me a formula I can follow.
Sure.
I went to engineering school for 3 years and then went into concrete. So I have a
Yeah.
mathematical mind. Go figure.
Yeah, yeah. Make this
So
the way I can understand it.
yeah, right. And I'm gonna do something that I hate it when people do. There is no formula. You know? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I can give you some things I've heard, and,
yeah,
and I and I and I like a third of your time here, a third of your time here, a third of your time here, split up into thirds. And that's good.
yeah.
Sometimes, like you said though, when your schedule's so fluid that
Mhm.
that it can't be done.
No.
I don't know about you, it's all about discernment and just
Yeah.
keeping your eyes open. It really is.
It is.
And knowing when, okay, this is a period of time where I need to step back a little bit of here and put a little more time here. And what I've realized that when it comes to ministry stuff, not everything has to happen today.
No.
And I'm bad about that. I'm bad
Oh,
about if we got to get it all done today. Let's go.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really doesn't. Guess what? God's God, and
Mhm.
He actually really doesn't need me. You know, I'm
What?
glad He
You're
uses
kidding me?
us.
Yeah.
I know it's
I
crazy.
thought
Here's some
this all
crazy stuff,
depended on
right?
me.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm so thankful He uses us. He gives us purpose, but and we need to be motivated. We need to progress. We need to be
Yeah.
doing these things. I'm not saying don't touch it for 3 months or for
Yeah.
drop it off and don't do it no more, but like it's okay. It's okay to step back for a minute. You know what I mean? And devote time where it needs to be given. In that moment, and not everything has to happen right now. You know,
I'm wondering
I'm
if we
trying to learn that. I'm not saying I've learned that. I'm trying to learn that.
very mature statement, nephew. Very, very good because I'm trying to get to that point, even at your
Yeah,
ripe old age of 31.
yeah.
Because 31, don't you say?
31. Yeah,
My
yeah.
memory's not like what it used to be. Uh,
Well, you're
and
not far from 60 either, so I can tell.
you had to say that, didn't you? I still
Right,
got 4 years to go yet, but yeah, I look
right,
70. And these dots on
right.
my head right here,
Oh, hey,
Um, the problem with me is, yes, it's got to be all right now, and it's got to
yeah.
be. For a long time I was either pedal down or brake. Well, I'm waiting on God. No, let's get. You know what I mean? I really think God. If we did an experiment and had the time, haha. Does God speak more in the Bible about waiting and being patient than he does about right now or all the way back? I think he's more okay, navigate, as you're
Yeah,
learning. Because if we're honest and we take the Great Commission, which gets completely blown out of context more times
um,
than it doesn't, right?
yes, it
It
does.
says if you break it down as you translate it and as you pray over it and read it, it says as you are going, but
Yes,
the go part, when you drill it into the original, it's as you are going, teach,
yeah,
baptize,
yes,
teaching them, you know what I mean, and disciple. So
yeah,
it's along the way. It's not
along the way.
snatch them up right now, go, and we only go once a week. It's all
Yes.
as you're going. You're
Yes.
working. Somebody comes up to
Right.
you. You're in the store, not just
Yes.
doing church stuff,
Right.
and involved. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, you're exactly right. When it becomes just a part of your natural daily life, not just a that's key as you're going. That is so true and profound. That's why Christ said it. But like
Yeah,
but like literally when it becomes part of what you do all the time,
yeah,
it becomes your nature. Not I have to set aside this slot of time for it.
yeah,
That's a big difference. That's a
yeah,
huge difference. Now, I mean, there's some practical things that we have to do to set aside some time before. I'm not saying they're not there, but the witnessing, the ministry part of it, that's just he's basically saying, go live your life and go live your life as an ambassador for me.
yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Put
Period.
it
Wherever
out
you're
part
at.
of daily life. Yeah, wherever
Yeah,
you're at. Yep.
and that's where you
Yep.
take it to a slice into a layman, a lay person.
Yes.
We're not saying, yes, pastors fantastic, love it, and
Yeah.
I miss so many of those aspects of it, but there's so many of those aspects of it that I still do. You're doing,
Yeah.
you're an assistant as well as youth leader, as well as the other things you got going on in your life. You wear more than just the hat of this. It's all under. I was just thinking today. I'm a Christian. Without that, I can't do
Mhm.
any of this stuff.
Right.
I'm going to stink at everything if I
Yes.
don't have that umbrella and my heart covered with the blood of the Lamb.
What
That's
a
it.
great point.
You
Yep.
know, and then
Yep.
that can help me get everything else going and bringing people in
Right.
together. Even
Exactly.
even with this, I've been guilty. I have to admit, I haven't called you guys in 3 months. Because just because of life or whatever or excuses. I really want to live in an excuse-free zone. I do not. I hate excuses. I really do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just reasons. Okay, here's the reasons why. I have allowed other things to take precedence in my life instead of that. Period.
Well, Brian, and I think that even goes back to sometimes I think it's okay. Like I agree with you with the excuse-free life. I don't like them.
Yeah.
And I think me and you are extremely similar. There's a reason that you're my uncle, I'm your nephew, but like
Big
we're
time.
just similar
Yeah.
people. We're very similar people.
Yeah.
But that time that you're talking about, those like roughly 3 months, I've learned like that can be okay. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a time and a place for all things. You know what I mean? But like even that, it doesn't have to be. I think when we make it, if we make it a burdensome thing, like I think that's what we need to think about it. And a step back from it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, when I say there's things in ministry that we don't you, you're not waiting to do it when you feel like doing it. If that's the case, we would never do anything.
No.
But
No.
you know what I'm saying? Like I think even that, like the calling thing, I didn't think anything of that. Sometimes we need a little step back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Guess what you were doing? You're
Yeah.
coaching your daughter's basketball team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's great. I'm glad you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a great thing. That
Right.
takes time that you're never going to have again with your daughter. I'm not trying to make you cry, but you know
Hey,
what I mean.
hey,
But
you don't. I
with
don't
your
need the
senior
help.
year,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh. Yeah.
you know what I mean.
You're right.
You
You're right.
needed to be doing those things. That's totally okay. We all get that. I'm glad you were. And guess what? When her season was done, where are we at?
Yeah. Here we
Here we
are.
are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
It didn't
Yeah. You're
stop.
right.
You know.
Yeah. I think we beat ourselves up just as much as
Yeah.
we cut ourselves too much slack. You know what I mean?
That is so true.
Yeah.
We go both
Yeah.
ways, don't we?
We
Yeah.
do. We do. Middle
Yeah.
ground. Middle ground. And I'm not saying that we should settle for meh, or
No,
mid. That's
no,
not what I'm saying.
no,
But I
no.
mean, don't get too high, don't get too low. And that's where I have moments of guilt and I've got an adrenaline rush and I text everybody like, okay, we're gonna blah blah. And then guys like look at me down there going, there he goes again. You need to take it and it's okay to even restructure some things because we all grow and change. And now maybe
Right.
your life has taken a different turn. So the once a week isn't going to work, but we can make it look a different way. And I think to pack it all around what we're talking about, everything can take that. Again,
Exactly.
what are the things
Exactly.
that it's just like your body. You got to breathe, you got to eat,
Mm,
you got to drink water. Just like in life, okay, I've got to have time
mm,
with God, time with my wife of
yeah.
some kind, my family, my
Right.
job. and then my
Right.
other obligations that I have that are set.
Right.
And it's not just because you said it. There's no formula.
No.
We're not going to, we could do this because some people are guilty of doing it and come up with
Yeah.
uh, our own day planner. Brian and
Yeah.
Luke's spiritual day planner, have a verse in the corner and sell it. And we have our
Yeah.
squares are bigger than your squares, so we can fit
Right.
more stuff in there. Here
Right.
we go. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you buy
Exactly.
this, you will never run
Yes.
out of time. That's the
Right.
biggest bunch of baloney. I
You
could
know,
buy, and you
it
know why I
is
know it is? Because I've done it.
because
I
I've
bought the
tried to.
planner. Yeah, doesn't work. Doesn't
Right.
work, does
No,
it?
no, no, it doesn't. We're dealing with people,
Yeah.
and we can try to structure that as much as we want, but these are real lives being lived.
Yes.
And you're dealing with multiple people, your family, the people you're trying to serve in your ministries,
Yeah.
your work. You can't, it's impossible to make them go into a little box. You know what I mean? It can't happen. That's why and you're exactly right. I think the best thing to do, and I pray all the time, still trying to learn this lesson. God, just let me just keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
Give me discernment. Let me keep my eyes open. Let me get blinders on one thing. Because
Yeah.
I'm with you. I get a bolt of energy on one thing, and I'm like, whoop. I go like this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
everything goes right here. My all goes right here.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. Stuff can get done quick, but
Mhm.
but when I do that, everything else gets pushed back for
Mhm.
too long, for
Right.
too long. So that's
Right.
why, and all of us struggle. We have our own struggles. We have our own weaknesses. I
Yeah.
gotta pray constantly. God, help me keep my eyes open. Let me
Yeah.
see these other things. Give me discernment. Give me wisdom. You know.
Yeah.
But
Amen. Amen. And the good thing about that is now I'm talking to God even more because you can
there you
never do
go.
enough of that. You got to have
There
that
you
open communication with the Almighty all the time.
go. All the
Um,
time.
the beauty of that is, even at work, if I'm sitting there, I can step aside and walk down the hall and get alone for just 10 seconds and whisper a prayer,
Yes.
and it works.
Yes.
Or there's
Yes. It
times when
does.
I'm at home, and then you gotta get serious. But that constant communication and that constant giving it to him all the time. Okay, how are we doing
Yes.
right now? That's the beauty. You don't have to worry about driving over to God's house. He's
You're
always
exactly right.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
You become when you do that, it's the very definition of praying without ceasing.
Yeah,
You're almost living in prayer.
yeah,
It's literally almost what you're doing. And when you get that, now everything takes on just try it.
yeah,
And you let us know. There you go.
yes.
There's a good email. Try it. Live in prayer. Literally that constant open communication, and you let us know the changes in your life. 'Cause I'm telling you, there's certain things that open my eyes to that for me personally. And
Yeah.
I've started, it sounds awful that I'm just now realizing that. You know what I mean? But it's just true. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I've been like, wow, with
Mm-hmm.
with things. And it's not like the heavens opened up and the spirit of God descended like a dove. I'm not saying that happened,
It
but it
didn't
was just
happen.
like,
I don't want to hear it. No, if there were
right,
no
right,
doves, no, it's
right,
not true.
exactly.
No, didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah,
But
that's funny.
I was like, I now when stuff happens, I'm like, God, we've talked about this. We've talked about life already. I know it's for me more than it is for God. It really is. Prayer is. He
Yeah,
already knows. Right? But like,
yeah.
I know you're in control of this. I know you're helping me. You're going to continue to help me. We're tight here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything to worry about. And what a
Dude,
what a massive, massive, massive difference that is as opposed to being reactive. That's
yeah.
what Pastor Mark says all the time. In prayer, be proactive. Don't be reactive.
Amen.
Big difference. Big
Amen.
difference.
Amen. Just hearing you say that brought peace to me right then because
Oh yeah,
we
yeah.
feel like God's left behind someplace or whatever. He's right there, and
He's
even
there.
his.
Yeah.
What about his grace? That's a whole other podcast. Looking at you going, "Hey, Luke, don't you're here. I'm here." It's the same thing with our kids, Mike. I love my kids. If I haven't seen them for a minute, it's not like I've said, "Where you been all day?" It's, "Hey,
Right.
how's it going?" And it's like
Yeah.
we've never had a moment apart.
Exactly.
It's and that
Exactly.
we have in Him is that relationship, and I don't want anything to happen to that. And I have allowed things to get in the way for sure.
As we
Um,
all do.
oh man, but we're if you like where you're at right now, it's worth what you've been through. That's what I've always heard.
What a great way to put it, man. What
Yeah.
a great way to put it. Yep.
And we're
That's so
always
true.
learning. That's why I love with you, and I love your urgency, man, because you're saying it took me this long at 31. Dude, I'm 24, about 25 years older than you. I remember the day you were born, all your siblings, and
Yeah.
you always have been all just like my own kids because
Yeah.
you were kids before I had got married, let alone had kids.
Yeah.
And if
Right.
you
Yeah.
figured out some of that stuff now, that's why we're doing this, is to hopefully share it and pour it into somebody else. Maybe there's a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old out there that's hearing this. If they could, because there's enough they're going to deal with, and
Oh, yes.
God helps society in 20 years.
Oh, my. Yeah.
If we can do this and help them and learn some stuff early, so they can be ready for the next thing they're going on, man, then we've done our part, right?
Yeah.
And that's been the best use of our time, because one of my favorite verses as we wrap up is redeeming the time because
Yes.
the days are evil.
Yes.
And boy, they get more eviler every day, if that's a word, right?
It's true. It's so
So
true.
somebody comes over to you and they say, okay, Luke, listen, I can't seem to find time for God. Let's just leave it at that. I do everything.
Mhm.
I'm so tired at night. Is it enough for me to wiggle my lips as I'm laying in the bed, just passing out and saying, man, it's beating me to death and I'm about to drop? Or do I have to get up at 5 in the morning and read half the Old Testament? They just need some words of wisdom from you to say, I
Yeah.
just need help because my time, that's the most important thing I want to do, and I just don't seem to have the time. What do you
Right.
tell them?
My thought is, you, God made you in the way that He's made you. I'm not a morning person. I'm just not. I already get up early. Now I know personally, and I can say this. I know he won't be upset. My father-in-law, he spends his time with God in the morning before we work. So he's
Cool.
getting up at like 4.
Bless his heart, man.
We
Oh,
usually get rolling around 5 to 6 o'clock. He's getting up earlier than that and doing that. That's great.
yeah.
You can do that. I'm not, I don't, and I honestly, I don't feel bad that I don't do that because I'm a little bit more of an evening person than he is, believe it or not. And I go to bed at 10 because he goes to bed at like 8,
So
so,
he
but
we better make sure we
yeah,
post this at 7 if he's going to watch it, right? Yeah.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I see that my time comes more into the evening. I don't care what time. I don't. You do, as long as you're consistent about it. And I'm not even necessarily consistent about the time of day.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think that can help us. I think that can be beneficial if you
Yeah.
can do that as a practical thing. Um, what I would say to do, and I'm taking this off of my father-in-law and my pastor, Pastor Mark. He said set an appointment with God for that day,
Okay.
right? If it can be the same time every day, that's great. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But if not, that's okay. You see how your day's going to go, and you set an appointment with them, and you make that appointment. You set an appointment with a doctor. You're not just going to not show up. You
Hmm.
don't do that with God. You know what I
No.
mean?
No.
It's a little bit of a personal accountability there.
Good.
And that can be, I know that can be difficult. And you know what? I also learned, Brian, too, and I want to be quick about it. I know we're trying to wrap up. Your prayers, um, they don't have to be 45 minutes long.
No.
If they
No.
are, that's great. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I heard David Livingston, the or Dave Robert Livingston. I'm sorry. Yeah, Robert. I heard one time that I heard it said before that one of his prayers, because he was doing mission work like all day long, and he was saying that he went to bed. He's like, his prayer that evening was, Lord, I'm tired. Good night.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. And God's
He
like, I
prayed.
know you are.
He
Yeah.
prayed, like,
Yeah. He
and
prayed.
I'm not saying do that every night. No, if I'm
Nah.
not tired, I'm like, Lord, I'm tired. Good night. And I'm not, what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But 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 it's a living relationship here. Do you set time with your wife? No, you don't have to. I mean, you know what I mean? You're not counting, like you said, we're not putting boxes around these people where, okay, I got 20 minutes here.
Yeah.
Do that with your reading if you need to, but and spend some time specifically in prayer. I think by yourself is good, but live that prayer. It's the
Yeah.
best way I can describe it. Do that. It doesn't have to be as stringent and structured, but just try to give yourself some time where you're studying and praying. I don't care what time of day it is. Everybody's different. Just do it. And because ultimately, Brian, here's the matter. Here's the kicker. And this was with me. I can say this for myself. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And priorities, it's God and family. God's at the top. God's at the top.
yeah,
It has to get in. And then family's right there underneath them. And then everything else follows. So if
yeah.
I mean I have to restructure a couple other things, then I need to be restructuring those other things.
Mhm.
You know,
Be
if it is
intentional.
time in the morning, just be intentional. Yep.
Be intentional, right? And be
Yep.
intentional with your prioritizing. And you just
Yep.
did it perfectly, man. It's God,
Yeah.
and everything else falls underneath that. And it is not, because you do have to spend that time to say,
You
okay,
do.
I'm going to do that. And it's not like you're going to wake up. Who wakes up bouncing out of bed? Maybe Brian does, your father-in-law, but at 4 in the morning, like, can't wait to go
No.
do it. It's going to take a minute. And the older you get, it
Yeah.
takes more
It
than a
is.
minute to
Yeah.
find the
And he,
floor, and to
yeah.
wake up.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
man, once the gears are turning, then you're in
Oh,
good shape.
yeah. And that's the thing. You're not gonna feel like it.
No.
You're not. What do you think the last thing that the enemy wants us to see us doing is sitting down, spending time praying,
Mhm.
intentional time studying God's word and praying. So what do you think he's gonna fight you the hardest at? What do you think your flesh is gonna try to reject the hardest?
Oh
There's
yeah.
a lot not gonna feel like doing it. But
No.
that's where it's a matter of the will, not a matter of how we feel.
And we know
There we
how
go.
hard the will is to
Yeah,
get under, and you're never achieving that 100% until we get to glory. But
exactly.
it doesn't mean we
Right.
can't try and that we can't have victories. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think you're saying, okay, we're going to get the time in, then pick one thing. Well, the one thing for sure is our time with God, and it's beautiful. Okay, this is
Yeah.
when, because it's got to be wired around how you are. God wired us all different for
Yes.
whatever reason,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So for
Yeah.
me and you, we're not going to do it at 4 in the morning, but we
Yeah.
might do it at 8 o'clock at night. Or for
Yeah.
me, sometimes
Yeah.
it's 11. You're already an hour into REM sleep by 11 o'clock. So
Right.
um,
Right.
here I
Right.
am. It depends. It's different, but I think you're right. But the thing is, something is better than nothing, and you're
Yes. It
never
has to
going to
be.
get it together if you don't try. Right?
Yep. That's exactly
Yep.
it. That's exactly
Absolutely,
it.
man. Hey, I think we've done a great job here today. I appreciate
Thank
you, Luke.
you.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you.
I appreciate you
Um,
too, man.
Episode 8 is here, and if you've got something to share, we're going to continue. We're talking about time. We're figuring out how often to put these out again, getting back in the groove of that, making this continually, making it a ministry, making it
Right.
something more reaching out with as well, to be active. And so as we are going, we want to do that with this as well. People who are all active guys we're interactive in our churches and family and jobs and all this stuff, but hey, we want to do whatever we can to make sure you go to heaven and don't go to
Right.
hell. That's it right there.
That's it.
And so
Yep.
that's our goal. The build my church pod at gmail.com is our email. You want to say, hey, can you guys talk about this topic ideas, or I keep saying you need a Bible, or you've got other needs or going along through there, whatever they might be, any kind of correspondence you want to give to us. If you want to say, stop putting Brian on there and just put Luke's handsome face on the thing, I get it. I can go audio and Luke can be visual and audio both, right? Whatever we need to do. But hey, man, I love you to the depths
Love you
of my
too,
heart.
man.
I love you, and it's
Love
great
you too,
being
man.
on this journey with you. I'm glad you jumped in this wagon. You're
Yeah.
rolling with your old uncle here, but I'm proud of you, Luke, you and Shibo. So tell Shy
Oh,
hi
yeah.
for me.
I will. You tell the family I said, hey, we love you and appreciate everything you're doing, man. Thanks for your leadership in this.
Hey, thanks for joining right in there with us, buddy. God's got this. I appreciate you. I'll see y'all next time.